Hey everybody, Aaron Bishop here with the Bishop's Blurb. Coming up at the end of the month of September is a holiday in the Leviticus 23 calendar that is only ever called Yom Teruah in the Bible. Leviticus 23 through 25. And the Lord spoke to Moses saying, "Speak to the people of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, on the 1st day of the month, you shall observe a day of solemn rest, a memorial proclaimed with blast of trumpets, a holy convocation. You shall not do any ordinary work, and you shall present a food offering to the Lord." If we read this verse very closely, this day is not named in Leviticus 23. In fact, it's not until Numbers 29 that we find this day called Yom Teruah, the day of Teruah. And we're only ever given this one description of the holiday. We don't find it anywhere else in Scripture. And the description of the holiday? You shall rest, and you shall proclaim a memorial by sounding trumpets, it says in the English. But the Hebrew doesn't even say trumpets anywhere in the passage. It only says a memorial of Teruah. So what is it that this day is meant to celebrate? Well, let's start with the word Teruah. The word Teruah simply means a loud sound with staccato blasts, as opposed to a tekiah, which is a long, drawn-out sound. But it's not limited to a trumpet. In Psalm 150, it's cymbals that are described as giving a teruah sound. In Ezra chapter 3, it's voices that give forth a teruah. In Numbers chapter 10, the word teruah is used to describe the sound that the trumpets would make before the camps would move. And teruah is used as an alarm signal for the movement of troops in Joshua 6 before Israel goes into the city of Jericho. In 1 Samuel 4 as Israel gathers together to battle the Philistines. And it's used in the book of Jeremiah to describe the sound that's made by the watchmen as Babylon is besieging Jerusalem. It's a signal for movement, it's a signal of alarm, but it's also a signal for joy. At the end of the book of Leviticus, we read of the year of Jubilee and the Shemitah. And on Yom Kippur, every 50 years, it's a teruah sound that was supposed to be made on the shofar to signal the year of release. And as we continue on, we find that shouts of joy is the most common way that a teruah is described in Scripture. In 2 Samuel 6 and 1 Chronicles 15, it's a teruah shout that accompanies the ark. David brings the ark into Jerusalem. In Ezra 3:11 through 13, we read this word 4 times in 3 verses to describe the shouts of joy that the people had as they were entering back into covenant with God. This day isn't just a day to pull out a shofar or a trumpet and blow on it. This day is a day for shouts, a day for joy, it's a day for excitement, and it's a day for alarm and warning. It's a day to beware the enemy. It's a day to prepare to fight. But why is this? And in order to discover that, we need to look at the history of how teruahs were applied in the time of Israel. First, teruah is what accompanies the king's ascent to his throne. Psalm 47:5, God has gone up with a teruah, the Lord with the sound of a trumpet. This psalm is a psalm of praise to God as king, and throughout the psalm, that idea of God as the king of all is repeated over and over. This sound of teruah is also a sign of the day of judgment. Zechariah 1:14 through 16. The great day of the Lord is near and hastening fast. The sound of the day of the Lord is bitter. The mighty man cries aloud there. A day of wrath is that day, a day of distress and anguish, a day of ruin and devastation, a day of darkness and gloom, a day of clouds and thick darkness, a day of trumpet, teruah, blasts, and battle cry, against the fortified cities and against the lofty battlements. When we explore how the idea of teruah is modeled in the Bible and in history, we find that it accompanies both ideas. It is a day of joy. It is a day of alarm. And the dividing line between these two is found in where you stand with God.